All right, welcome. Welcome everyone. We're live on Facebook. My name is Numair Shahzada. I'm the head of marketing at the National Incubation Center. And wow, we have such a fantastic session planned for you today. I'm so humbled and honored to be introducing you to this session. So the startup ecosystem in Pakistan is nascent, but we're on the cusp of building a thriving ecosystem. And at the forefront of this revolution is the SECP. The SECP is working on enabling a regulatory environment where business-friendly policies are conducive to an environment where startups can scale and not just initiate their company, but also stay current, stay good, and keep working towards great things. The Security and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, SECP, it's a financial regulatory agency in Pakistan, and their objective is to develop a modern and efficient corporate sector and capital market. And they're doing a great job recently, and I'm sure today our guests, who I will introduce in a moment, will be sharing more light on some of the fantastic things that the SECP has been doing. They have launched a portal most recently that allows you to expedite bank account opening if you're a newly registered company. They're really promoting ease of doing business and really working towards fast tracking digitalization in the country, which here at the NIC we think is a very important thing as well. For a prosperous Pakistan, as we like to say. The SECP has registered 2,000 plus companies just in the month of January. So their total number of companies registered is almost about 135,000, right? And I'm sure our guests will share more information on this. So let me introduce you to our guest. Today we're joined by Ms. Khalida Parveen, Additional Director, SECP, and Maheen Najmi, Assistant Director, SECP. And the duo is going to talk about some of the regulatory challenges faced by startups. We'll talk about some of the modifications taking place and some recent developments at the SECP. So welcome today, Ms. Khalida and Maheen. So good to have you. Please, you may take it from here.
Assalamu alaikum. Me, Khalda Parveen, and my colleague, Ms. Maheen Nazmi, welcome you all on behalf of the SECP, and thank you very much, NIC, for arranging this event. We hope this session would be beneficial for all the participants. As title of the webinar suggests, today we will cover some major developments at SECP that aim to facilitate startups. We will start with a list of key issues that have been reported by startups to SECP from time to time, and we are focusing to address those issues through amendments in law or regulations or through other regulatory developments. My colleague Maheen will give you an overview of some problems related to issues of shares that are frequently reported by startups. And she will also give an overview about the recent developments that are under process to address these issues. And I will share some recent reforms that have been introduced by SECP recently to address different procedures as well as different new developments that we think would be very beneficial for this topic. And at the end, we will address some questions. So we start with a list of issues that have been reported by startups to SECP and that are our main focus since last year. The number one issue is that there is no definition of startup. Secondly, the legal provisions in the Companies Act regarding issue of shares lack clarity uh, regarding issue of shares against non-cash consideration and issue of shares to persons other than members in case of private companies and issue of shares to employees by private companies. That is the hot issue for startups. Uh, the third issue is under the Companies Act, buyback of shares is restricted to listed companies only, while startup feel that this mechanism should also be available for private companies because most of the startups are operating in the form of a private company. And the next issue is that Companies Act and the regulations provide that in case of issue of shares against non-cash consideration, the valuation should be done by valuers notified by the commission. However, currently, till to date, there are no valuers that are registered with the commission. So this is an issue that that is a bottleneck for startups, private companies, and other companies that wish to issue shares against consideration other than cash. And then another issue that is very important for from startup context is under the law there is a option to convert preference shares into ordinary shares, but there is no mechanism in law or no specific provisions in law that provide for ordinary shares conversion into preference shares. And the last issue that is shown in this slide is the security clearance issue that is faced by those startups that involve some foreign investment or foreign partners. And it also and other issues that stem from the issues faced by foreign investor is attestation of documents of foreign companies in case foreign companies subscribe to the shares of a local company or subsequently become member of security local company. These are some important issues that we have compiled, and these have been our focus of our reforms areas since last year's when initially amendments were proposed in the Companies Act 2017. And since due to lapse of the ordinance, some of the issues that we tried to resolve through amendments in the Act have become, again, we have reached on the same position where we were standing before the enactment of the ordinance for amendments in the Act. So today we are at the same stage where we were before the enactment of the ordinance in April 30th, 2020. Despite the lapse of the ordinance, you might appreciate that the bill containing amendments that were proposed through the amendment ordinance introduced in April 30th, 2020 is still pending in the Parliament for approval, and we are following up for its early enactment by the Parliament so that issues faced by startups are resolved at the earliest. These are a brief introduction of issues that we will address in upcoming slides, that what we are doing to resolve these issues, what regulatory amendments or other changes are in process regarding these issues. So first we will cover the changes in laws and regulations that are under process to address some of the issues that we have discussed in last slide. So I request Ms. Mahin to brief you about the upcoming changes in laws and regulations dealing with specifically issues faced by the startups.
Okay, fine. So basically, I was talking about the fact that Ms. Halda highlighted the issue that startups and private companies are currently facing, that valuation mechanism in terms of Section 460 of the Companies Act, that is absent currently. That has not been specified in terms of Section 460 till date. And that valuation mechanism is Commission is intending to propose through these amendments in the Companies Further Issued Shares Regulations. These amendments will basically empower or basically deem register the valuers which are currently listed on the panel of PBA, Pakistan Banks Association, or the consultants registered with PEC, engineering consultants, as well as the chartered accountant firms which are QCR rated by ICAP. So basically, they will be deemed to be registered for the purposes of valuation that will be conducted under the Companies Act. So this is one of the amendments that will be catered for under the Further Issue of Shares Regulations. Second point, which Ms. Halda has comprehensively highlighted, that currently there is no mechanism for conversion of shares between different kinds or conversion of shares between different classes of shares. For instance, currently mechanism that has been provided in the regulations only deals with conversion of preference shares into ordinary shares in the future date. However, mechanism is not in place to convert current or existing or issued ordinary shares into preferences in future. And similarly, if an ordinary shares kind has different classes in it, for example, class A or class B, then there is no mechanism that would exist to help convert class B shares into class A or vice versa. So basically, the amendments which are being proposed and which are currently under consideration of the Commission, favorable consideration of the Commission, they will enable all the companies, and particularly the private companies and the startups particularly, to convert their shares from one kind or class to another kind at last. That would be very beneficial for them. And we have received a numerous number of queries and questions and general queries from the public and the firms and etc., which have raised this question of whether or not they can convert from one class or kind to another. So similarly, non-cash की बात हो रही थी कि consideration नॉन कैश हो सकती कि नहीं हो सकती, जिसे मैडम खालदा ने हाईलाइट किया. So basically, for that matter, there was a kind of an anomaly that was created after promulgation of the Companies Act, as previously in the Repealed Companies Ordinance of 1984, there was no mode of consideration mentioned in Section 86. Section 86 was particularly and apparently silent about the mode of consideration. Section 83, on the other hand, when was promulgated in 2017, it related to, or it pronounced the non-cash consideration in its subsection A of clause B of Section 83, where it was apparent that only public companies, when they're issuing shares by way of other than right, only they can issue shares for non-cash consideration, which was an anomaly that was being queried and raised by many startups and specifically private companies. And we were of a considered view, and we were of a considered interpretation that maybe Section 3 was barring or prohibiting non-cash consideration. However, this is not the case. The Commission is in favorable consideration of this fact as well. And in very soon, the Commission will be issuing a clarification on this matter to explain if all the companies can, and particularly private companies, can in fact issue right shares for non-cash consideration. And the mechanism we have already discussed it. So moving on, the Madam Halda obviously highlighted some of the changes which are being proposed under the Companies Act through an amendment, which bill of which is pending before the National Assembly presently. So one of the issues that Ms. Halda highlighted is that presently there is no definition of startup company in the Act. So हमने देखा कि इंडियन कंपनी लॉ में फॉर एग्जांपल जो एक कंपेरेबल इकोनॉमी है हमारे से, उसमें स्पेसिफिकली उनके लॉ में स्टार्टअप कंपनी की डेफिनेशन प्रोवाइडेड है. सो इन अदर जुरिस्डिक्शंस एज वेल, बट प्रोमिनेंटली हमने इंडियन लॉ को देखा, उसमें प्रेजेंट थी. तो बेसिकली these amendments and this definition was also promulgated through the Companies Amendment Ordinance of 2020. However, as highlighted by Ms. Halda, ये amendment ordinance जो था ये lapse हो गया था in August 2020. तो वही ऑर्डिनेंस बेसिकली रीएनैक्टमेंट के लिए इस वक्त पेंडिंग है नेशनल असेंबली. सो बेसिकली द स्टार्टअप जो डेफिनेशन स्टार्टअप कंपनी की हम इसमें promulgate कर रहे हैं, it will include a company whose turnover is not greater than 500 million, which is less than 500 million, and is in existence for not more than 10 years, and is working for innovation, has high potential for employment generation, wealth creation. It will include all those companies. So basically, specific आगे provisions provide जरूर होंगे Companies Act में कि what would further facilitate startup companies. But as a first step, the definition of startup company will be provided in the Companies Amendment Act of this year, most probably, as soon as it was passed by the National Assembly. So moving on with the further provisions or issues that were earlier discussed regarding issue of capital. Basically, currently जो provision है section 83(1)(a) की, उसके accordingly shares when they are offered to existing shareholders, they can be renounced or declined or unsubscribed, and the directors of a company are empowered to allot those shares to any person other than existing members, including employees or any other person outside the members. So basically, there was an anomaly that as to whether a private company can issue shares other than right, or a private company can issue shares under employee stock option scheme. So basically, there was an anomaly under the Companies Act, or maybe where the company law was silent about these provisions. So in order to further clarify and to just elaborate those positions and to explicitly provide those provisions in the law. For example, we carried out international jurisdictional study, and we noted that Indian Companies Act, New Zealand's Companies Act explicitly and specifically provided for the provision of other than right issuance of shares by any company. And similarly, Indian Companies Act, UK Companies Act, and Australian Corporations Act specifically and explicitly provided issuance of ESOS by private companies. So the commission was of a considered view, and we deliberated at length that it should be specifically also provided in our law as well. So amendments regarding these issues to allow a private company to right away issue shares to other than existing members, to employees under a specific employee stock option scheme. These provisions will be enacted through an amendment in the Companies Act. Similarly, one of the other issues that Madam Khalda has kindly highlighted, that currently only listed companies are allowed to buy back their shares, and startups, and which are basically the private companies mostly, they were facing an issue that they had no specific exit mechanism in their cases. So basically only a listed company was allowed to buy back their shares at a specific mechanism as specified in that section 88. So under the Companies Amendment Act that will be promulgated in soon time, under that act or under that amendment, all companies will be allowed to buy back their shares. Obviously, a specific mechanism will be provided and will be specified through circulars, notifications, or regulations, but all companies will be in principle will be allowed to buy back their shares. In addition to the issues that Madam Khalda has kindly highlighted, there are also some other significant changes which you might appreciate that they are being promulgated by the Commission, and they have been moved by the Commission to particularly facilitate small companies, startups, and private companies in general. One of the most important such changes is that in light of the international jurisdictions law and the common practices that startups and private companies favor, the Commission has decided to abolish the common seal requirement for a company, for all companies. So basically, this is also a reform that will be most probably be acknowledged by the World Bank as well in our doing business ranking of the country. And it is going to be very cost saving for the, it's going to be a very cost saving initiative for these startups as well. So one of the significant changes is the abolishment of common seal. And the second one is the fact that under section 70 of the Companies Act currently, where shares are allotted for cash consideration, companies are required to submit an auditor's certificate to confirm the receipt of that cash into the company's bank account, which is in fact is apparently is a costly activity, because auditors have to be engaged, they have to be paid a certain amount of non-audit service fee, which is really costly for startup companies that have to pay other incorporation expenses or other their cost too. So basically, to ease those companies and to ease specifically the startups and private companies, SCCP or the Commission is specifically intending to replace this auditor certificate requirement with the declaration by their CEOs. So basically, it's going to be just a declaration by their chief executives that this amount has been received, in fact, has been received in the account of the company. And this is going to be sufficient for the purposes of Section 70 of the Act. In addition, there is another significant change which is being proposed and which is under consideration of the National Assembly through the bill in the amendment in the Companies Act, is that currently under Section, I think 247, the cost and management accountants are only eligible to be the statutory auditor of private and public companies whose paid up capital are less than 3 million rupees. So basically, what we're trying to do is that we are trying to increase that threshold from 3 million to 10 million. So basically, the companies whose paid up capital is less than or 10 million, equal to 10 million, they can also hire cost and management accountants as their statutory auditors. So this is also another change that can facilitate small companies and startups. And another important change that has been enacted and that will be enacted through the Amendment Act in the Companies Act 2017 is that private companies under Section 234 of the Act are currently required to file unaudited, duly authenticated accounts with the registrar whose paid up capital is less than 1 million. So basically, this requirement was kind of an additional burden for those companies, which are although not required to be audited. Those accounts were not required to be audited. There was a certain relaxation for them, although, but still, the fact that they have to, in fact, file unaudited accounts and duly authenticated accounts with the registrar, this requirement will also be abolished for them. So basically, they will be exempted from filing any kind of accounts with the registrar. So this is also a significant change, which will further facilitate the private companies, specifically the startups, which are the private companies, in fact, and it will further lessen their costs. And I think this is going to be a very supportive and facilitative initiative that is being taken by the SCCP at our end. I think now I would request Ms. Halda to take over and let you know about our future agenda and recent developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahi. At the start, when I mentioned the major issues highlighted by startup, one of those issues was security clearance of foreign investors or authentication of documents of foreign origin. These two issues are very important in the context of foreign investor. Although these two requirements are not directly imposed by the SCCP, this relates to different government departments. For example, security clearance procedure is completed by Ministry of Interior, and authentication of foreign documents is done by consulate officers at Pakistan embassies. However, in order to facilitate the businesses, we have taken up this matter with Board of Investment so that this issue may be taken up with Ministry of Interior or Ministry of Foreign Affairs to consider either simplification or automation of these procedures so that these procedures can become less burdensome for the investors as well as these organizations and SCCP. Besides highlighting this issue to Board of Investment, we have also reported this issue to Pakistan Regulatory Modernization Initiative Working Group formed by the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Objective of this working group is to do a mapping of all regulatory requirements, identify those requirements that are burdensome or that are redundant or that are excessive, and give its recommendations to the Prime Minister for either removal of those requirements or simplification of those requirements. So by highlighting that this problem at this forum, we are hopeful that it will be resolved at priority. And I'm also sharing the link of PRMI portal at this slide so that the startups may report any other issues relating to any other government organizations that they think are excessive and should be removed or simplified. So such issues can be reported at the link given in this slide. As you all might know that in 2020, SCCP launched Pakistan's first ever regulatory sandbox. It was a big initiative by SCCP to promote innovation and to facilitate startups who come up with new ideas and new products. In the first cohort that was launched last year in February, March, total 34 applications were received, out of which 6 projects were approved by the SCCP. And these projects primarily relates to digital insurance, crowdfunding, and digital distribution of mutual funds, robo-advisory. Testing of these approved product has started from February 1st, 2021, and second cohort of regulatory sandbox is expected to be launched by end of this month or early next month. Another initiative of SCCP that might be useful for startups in the context of easy access of credit is launch of Secure Transaction Registry. The Financial Institutions Secure Transactions Act 2016, though enacted in 2016 on the initiative of State Bank of Pakistan, objective of this law was to encourage use of movable assets as a collateral against loan so that small businesses who do not own real property like land or building can avail finance against their movable assets. But this law remained inactive because one of the conditions for becoming for coming into force of this law was the launch of Secure Transaction Registry, a registry where charges created on movable assets of entities other than companies can be registered. In 2020, on April 30th, SCCP launched the Secure Transaction Registry, and this law came into force with effect from April 30th last year. Now, the charges created by unincorporated entities can be registered in this registry, and it is an important milestone achieved to facilitate or encourage the objective of this law, that was to encourage use of movable assets as collateral so that small businesses that do not own real property can avail credit at a low cost against their movable assets like their intangible assets, like their receivables or inventory. This initiative is especially beneficial for SMEs that also include startups. Most of the issues that startups report are related to the complexities, rather, that we can say of the corporate form for business, where they have not so much flexibility that is that they require for the specific nature of their business activity. So in 2017, SCCP launched, provided an other alternative of company form by enactment of Limited Liability Partnership Act 2017. Under this act, a new corporate business vehicle has been introduced, that is a limited liability partnership. This form of business provides all the benefits that are attached to a company, like it has a separate legal personality, like a company, it has a limited liability, and it has perpetual succession. And at the same time, An LLP has the same flexibility that you may enjoy in the form of a partnership. So this form of business vehicle can provide the needed flexibility to startups to accommodate their specific needs, specifically when they start their business and in the early years of their business activities. In LLP, the form of value of contribution that the partners may provide to the LLP is very flexible, and contribution can be in any form. It may be in the form of a monetary contribution. Partners may contribute their properties or their intangible assets, or they may also contribute in the form of their knowledge or skills. Existing partnerships firms can be converted into LLPs following a very simple procedure. And this form of business has very minimum regulatory requirements. For example, there are very few requirements where the LLP is required to report to the registrar. For example, when there is a change in the partners of the LLP, or when there is a change in registered office address, or the terms of the LLP agreement are amended by the partners, then it needs to be filed by the partners with the registrar. Other than that, there are no material regulatory requirements that are applicable on this form of business. And at a later stage, if the startups need to convert into a company, they may convert their LLP by following a simple procedure into a limited liability company. Issue of compliance is frequently highlighted by startups that they think that regulatory compliance for companies is very difficult, or because the Companies Act and the regulations are very extensive, they are unable to find the relevant compliance requirements or make compliance in timely manner. In order to facilitate such businesses, entrepreneurs, we have provided a list of all post-incorporation statutory requirements that are applicable on different type of companies, along with their deadlines, fee, and on what type of companies these requirements are applicable. This list is available on SCCP website, and anyone can get help from this document to know about their statutory obligations under the law, and can ensure compliance with the law without seeking any professional help. Besides, SCCP has launched an online portal with the name of Service Desk Management System, where anyone can launch a query to get guidance regarding any procedure or any requirement. And since the enactment of Companies Act 2017, corporate intermediaries who provide the services of statutory compliance on behalf of companies has been recognized under the Companies Act, and these corporate intermediaries are being registered with the SCCP. So despite this guidance that is available from SCCP, if startups still find it difficult to meet the regulatory compliance, they can avail the services of corporate intermediaries that are registered with SCCP. This slide shows some developments that SCCP has undertaken recently to make its company registry processes electronic and to provide facilitations to the entrepreneur. The most important one is that SCCP over the last 2 years has integrated its e-services, that is the online portal for incorporation of companies or filing of statutory returns. This portal has been integrated with Federal Board of Revenue and Employee Old Age Benefit Institution and business registration portals of Punjab and Sindh. This integration has enabled registration with 6 government agencies, including SECP, FPR, UOBI, and in provinces with the Social Security Departments, Labor Department, and Excise Department, through submission of a single application form at SECP e-services. Recently, SECP has launched a business center in Islamabad that provide exclusive facilitation services for company registration. And with effect from January 1st, we have launched a digital certificate for company incorporation process. After launch of this digital certificate, now company incorporation process has become fully electronic from submission of application to payment of fee till receipt of incorporation certificate. And as Numair mentioned in his introduction, that SECP has recently launched a special portal for banks where banks can access companies' records that are registered with SECP through that portal directly, and they are not required to get this information from their clients. This will, on one hand, will facilitate the due diligence process by banks, and on the other hand, it will reduce the turnaround time for opening of a bank account or provision of other banking services by financial institutions. And with effect from today, we have centralized the name reservation process at head office of SECP. Now, all applications for name reservation of a company will be dealt with in the head office of SECP, and the concerns of different entrepreneurs regarding different policies regarding name reservations at different CROs will be addressed through centralization of this function at a single place. So it will not only help us improve the efficiency of this process, but will also help us eliminate the concerns of entrepreneurs regarding different standards applied for reservation of name of a company when they apply, when they used to apply for name reservations at respective CROs. At this slide, I'm sharing some of the initiatives that are currently in progress, and we expect to introduce them very soon. The number one is the second part of the second phase of the portal that we launched for the banks, where bank can access the portal and get the information to verify any company and open its bank account or make their decisions regarding provision of any other banking service. In the next step, we are planning to integrate the bank account opening process with SECP e-services, where company, when submitting the application for company incorporation, the applicant will be able to choose whether he or she want to open the bank account of company with any bank of his or her choice. And if anyone opts for opening of a bank account through SECP e-services, we will collect some additional information required by banks, and then this information along with the documents and information available with SECP will be forwarded to banks on real-time basis, and then banks will start the process of bank account opening on the basis of information received from SECP. They will not require any separate application or separate procedure documentation for opening of bank account. We hope to launch this reform in next 2 to 3 months. And the second major development that is on our agenda is issuance of certified true copies. electronically. Currently, we have a process where applicant is able to apply for certified true copy through our electronic portal e-services, but the certified true copy is issued in the form of physically signed documents, and it is either collected by the applicant from SCCP office or it is dispatched at the address provided by the applicant. So in order to reduce this hassle and also to reduce the time to get CTCs, we are planning to issue electronically signed certified true copies that will be available through our online portal e-services. And it will not only reduce the turnaround time for getting the certified copies from company registration offices, but it will also increase the speed of this process for the CROs as well as the applicants. We are also working on simplification and consolidation of statutory forms. It is specifically focused on small businesses because they find it very burdensome to file a number of forms. And there are some cases where same information is reported on more than one forms. So we are reviewing our all statutory forms so that where possible, we may simplify the those forms, or where possible, we may consolidate one or two forms so that the regulatory compliance burden on businesses is reduced. As I mentioned that from today, we have centralized the name reservation process, and very soon we are planning to centralize the company incorporation process also, so that the practices can be standardized and the efficiency of the process may be improved further. In addition to it, we are also planning to replace our e-services that is more than a decade old and has become a very difficult to use a process considering the latest development and latest procedures available on other registries. So we are planning to revamp our existing process and replace it with a new electronic system that is at par with other modern registry, is user-friendly, is efficient. And currently, our integration is limited to the province of Punjab and Sindh. And in the next phase, we are planning to integrate our e-services for provincial registrations with provincial departments of KPK and Balochistan. Thank you. Before I close, I would like to address 3 questions that were forwarded to us via email from NIC. The number 1 question is relating to a person who is interested in forming a company that is that aims to operate for a social impact objectives, and he wants to know that whether he need to form an SMC or a private company or Section 42 company. This company intends to receive donations from USAID, UNDP, etc. So since this form of entity involves receipt of donation from foreign donors, so the appropriate form of business vehicle for this type of entity is Section 42 company. For this purpose, after reservation of name, the applicant is required to file an application for a license under Section 42, and on grant of license, the company can be registered with the business or respective company registration office. The second issue relates to the same type of entity, Section 42 companies. The question is, does SCCP facilitate or support in getting tax exemption from FPR in case of association not for profit? So the tax exemption process is an independent process that is completed by FPR on compliance with its own requirements, and SCCP do not provide any facilitation or any liaison in getting tax exemption from FPR. The third question is there any liaison between SCCP and Economic Affairs Division where the entities or Section 42 companies receive foreign funding? So the answer is again no, because Economic Affairs Division has its own procedures and according to which it processes the issues regarding foreign funding. SCCP is involved only to the extent where Economic Affairs Division seeks comments from SCCP regarding the status of the entity that has applied for approval of foreign funding. So thank you so much. This is from my side. If there are any additional questions, we would be pleased to answer that.
Thank you so much, Khalida and Maheen. What a fantastic and very informative session. We really went into all the detailed changes that are coming about. And I hope all the startups who are tuned in right now, all the founders are inspired. And I hope they can see that there's so much work being done and there's so much potential. So indeed, there are many more questions. We'll just pick and choose and we'll go through some of them. So there's some on Facebook, there's some here. So let's start with this one here. We get this question a lot. I'm actually going to rephrase a little bit for the purposes of keeping time. But can you share what work is being done or what startups can look forward to in terms of payment gateways for international funds?
Numair, basically payment gateways are subject of State Bank of Pakistan.
Okay.
So basically these type of gateways are licensed by SPP. So as far as I know, there is nothing on plan on our agenda at SCCPs regarding such type of entities.
Okay, so we'll do a session with the SBP and see what they have to say about that. Let's move on to some of the other ones. So there's a question here that says that if my company, I want to register my company, but I also want to be able to receive grants. So what category should I register my company under?
Such type of company would be registered as a Section 42 company. That
Right.
is a not-for-profit company licensed under Section 42 of the Act.
Okay. All right. And thank you for that answer. And so there's another question regarding changing your registration. So I registered my company as an LLP back in September 2019, but at the time I did not know that LLP is also registered in SCCP. What procedure should I follow to get it registered in the SCCP? I hope you understand that question.
No. Conversion of LLP into a company.
Yes.
Yes, LLP can be converted into a company, and the procedure is provided in the LLP regulation 2018
Okay.
and the Act.
Okay, perfect. Let's look at some of these other questions. So there have been some requests to share these slides. So is that something we can do after the session?
Sure, you can.
Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll hook those slides up with the follow-up email that everyone will receive. So guys, you'll get those slides. Keep watching your inbox for the follow-up email. Is there also a contact number or email that people can use to get in touch if they have any further queries?
The one contact point is our service desk management system. And secondly, you may, if there are consolidated queries, you may forward it through ASMA also, or you may send it to me now.
Perfect, perfect. So whatever contact details I receive, I'll share those in the follow-up emails as well. Um, so there are also some questions regarding digital currencies. So I feel like that also might be in the State Bank of Pakistan.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Companies registered less than 10 years ago with turnover less than 100 million rupees, will that be considered a startup?
Numair, as we have told that the proposed definition is already placed for consideration of the parliament. And this definition was developed after extensive consultation with startup organizations and forums like yours. So at current stage, we are not in a position to uh, change that definition that is already under consideration of the parliament.
Right. So the amendment is currently proposed, and we'll have more details on that soon. So by the way, for everyone watching right now, this is an initiative of the SECB Innovation Lab. Am I right about
Yes.
that? And inshallah, we will be having a session a month for the next couple of months. So do stay tuned, and there'll be a lot more interesting stuff coming your way. All right. Another question here is, can the receivables be registered in a secure transaction registry? Receivables management is one of the biggest concerns in
Yes.
sustainability of startups. The large corporate buyers have long payment cycles with a catastrophic to startup and SM, which is hard
Yes,
for
Numair.
startups.
Receivables of companies can be registered in the registry that is administered by SECP under Companies Act. And if receivables relate to an entity that is not a company, then those charges on those receivables can be registered in the secure transaction registry that I introduced in my
Right.
one of my slides.
Wonderful, wonderful. Another question we have is, what innovations can be expected in these special purpose companies, especially fintech lending?
Fintech lending. I have no idea about this currently. So if I'm able to get some information from the relevant department, I would share it with you.
There is a power in saying no sometimes, and you got to respect that. So Mohsin, you heard that, and inshallah, when some more information is available about this, it'll be shared, inshallah, in one of the subsequent sessions. All right. Can company registration corporation be done online? Of course it can. Or does one need to go to SECP? So this is a good opportunity to also mention the new business center in Islamabad. I
Yes,
think that has been doing quite well. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
this is established in the head office building of SECP. And here we have special desks for entrepreneurs with laptops and all other technical and official support, where anyone who wish to register a company without any help and is unable to do it uh, through while sitting in his home or independently, he may visit the business office, where we will not only provide the assistance for completing the documents, but the whole process can be completed while visiting this business center.
Right. Loving some of these questions. It really shows how interested young founders are, and for us, this is learning as well, because with your questions, then we improve, then we take notes and we think about certain areas that you guys need help in. So we have another question here that someone's saying they have a private limited company registered in February this year, but they're struggling to open their bank account because it's asking for a partnership deal. What should he do? Maybe because he
Very
registered it.
interesting question.
Maybe they would have that they are already
Because
I'm sure-
if we see at the list of documents that are available on SBP website for opening of a corporate bank account, it do not mention provision of any partnership agreement. The documents
Unless you
require.
registered as a partnership.
Yeah.
exactly.
So that answers your question then, Abdulaziz. Slides would be provided.
It might be a
Banks are-
case where a partnership has been converted into a company. Maybe for their extra due diligence, banks are seeking this information. Otherwise, it is not specifically mentioned in SBP regulations.
Okay, okay. And what if he isn't able to obtain that partnership deed? He must if he had previously registered as a partnership.
Yes.
With sole proprietorship, what is the easiest way to entertain foreign investment? Because I know SECP is doing a lot of work around foreign investment and investment in general. So maybe you can share a little light on that as well.
But Numair, sole proprietorships are not registered with SECP.
Okay.
We only registered businesses in the forms of company. And the
the
process is already very simple. We do not distinguish between local companies and foreign companies. The restrictions are by SPP, where there are restrictions on movement of money into Pakistan and out of Pakistan. So I think this issue basically relates to SBP, because there are no procedural issues or there are no procedural distinctions except the security clearance process. That is, and that is only applicable for foreign shareholders. The foreign investment and or foreign money coming into Pakistan or going out of Pakistan is regulated by the SPP.
All right, wonderful. So we have another question here about digital signatures. So Mustafa here is saying that maybe because this is a new rollout, that some banks still seem unaware of the fact that incorporation certificate is now digitally signed and CTC is not needed. They still demand CTC signed by relevant CRO. So have any steps been taken in this regard, or can anything be done to facilitate?
Numair, we have recently launched the digital certificate with effect from January 1st, and we have communicated this to SPP for further communication to banks and other government organizations that might require the certificate. And secondly, that I mentioned that we have launched this portal for banks, and this portal is still in initial stages. Banks are reviewing this portal and they are creating their accounts. And with the lapse of 2 to 3 months, I think all banks will be able to get access of this portal and will be familiar with the use of this portal. So in going forward, they will not require certified true copies in physical forms. And the most importantly, we are planning to discontinue issuance of physically signed certified copies in near future. We have communicated this to banks, and once that form of CTC is discontinued, so I think this problem will be resolved.
All right, so coming soon, coming soon. Also, you mentioned before that sole proprietorship is not registered with SECP. So can a sole proprietorship be converted into a Section 42 company is the question.
Section 42 companies are registered as public limited companies. Okay? For public limited companies, there is a limit of at least 3 members, 3 directors.
Right.
So there is no possibility of conversion because the normal businesses operate for commercial purposes. Section 42 companies work for a special cause. Right. And there is a restriction on distribution of profits to its members. So I'm unable
A
to
lot would
understand
have to
what is
change
the,
in his company for that to happen.
yeah.
Some new members, new directors, and sort of more traction, a lot of different things.
So there is no possibility of conversion, but if the person along with some other persons applies for a license of a Section 42 companies and then wish to convert the assets of that sole proprietorship into donate those. In fact, I would say that donate those assets of sole proprietorship to Section 42 companies, but it do not seem a realistic proposition, because why would someone convert a profitable business into
Right.
a not-for-profit activity?
Right. Might as well just
This
register a
can
new
only
company.
happen if we want to wish to donate those assets to another business or another company.
Okay, so we have another question here about merging businesses. So say, for example, someone has a family manufacturing business, but also has a small internet blog, and they want them under one roof. So is there some legal way where they can do this, or should they go for separate registrations, or what would you suggest?
I think this question is about more than one businesses by a single business
Hmm.
entity or a single company, more than a merger of different kind of companies. So yes, a company can do any lawful business, any number of activities. There is no restrictions that a company can only do a single business activity. As per law, a company is required to mention its main business line. That is the principal line of business where the majority of its assets is comprised of that business segment, or majority of the revenue is earned from that business segment. Only that uh, I was saying that there is no restriction on number of activities that a company can carry out under a single name or a single entity, as a single entity. Okay.
बिल्कुल ठीक. I
As
think that
if we
answered
talk
the
about
question.
mergers, those so mergers are also possible if two independent entities or two independent companies are registered for a different type of businesses and they want to merge it as a single entity. That is also possible. And currently mergers of small companies are being approved by SCCP, and earlier it was approved by court. So currently this process has become very easy, even if small companies want to merge their businesses.
Right, right.
In
That's a very
addition to this
comprehensive
fact,
answer.
oh, Numair, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. In addition to the fact that small size companies can enter into schemes of arrangements, and that will be sanctioned by the commission, we have further facilitated some companies, or specifically those private companies which are basically family-owned businesses. We have facilitated those companies through introduction of Section 284 in the Companies Act. That section basically enables those companies to merge into one another. For example, two or more companies can merge into a third, or one or more companies can merge into the first, right? And they can do the merger without seeking approval of the commission, or for that matter, the court. So basically what is required in that section is that the boards of those companies have to approve the scheme, and they have to file a scheme in a specified manner with the registrar. This is a very facilitative section that has been introduced in the Companies Act. I was not present in the repealed Companies Ordinance of 1984. It was introduced in light of the international jurisdictions. It was primarily for facilitation of private companies and family-owned businesses. So this is, I think, pretty much it.
Wonderful, very comprehensive answer. Thank you so much. I'm sure that more than answered the question for you there, Ali. Moving on to some of the other questions we have here. So is there an age limit on registering a company, and can a student register for a startup? As I was asking.
For eligibility, as a director of a company, there is a requirement that the person should not be a minor. For becoming a member of a company, there is no age limit. The minors can become member of a company through their guardians. Okay? But if, as far as the directors of the company are concerned, they should be major. A minor can't be a director of a company.
Okay. And next is a bit of a technical question. For me, it says, can you please confirm 10M or 10 million probably 10M limits for CMA firms?
It is proposed. Yes, it is, but it is proposed. It is not currently effective. It is included in the amendments that are pending before the Parliament for approval. Currently, it is not in force.
Right, right. So there was this question I asked before about being able to accept grants under a company. And your answer was, what kind of registration should that be?
As a not-for-profit association.
Okay, not-for-profit association. Perfect. So there was another question about that. All right, wonderful. I think we took quite enough questions. Some of these are repetitions. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that opportunity to hear it from the team at the SCCP, answers for all your questions. Let's just take one last question we got from Zara, and then we'll wrap up the session. I'm a social entrepreneur and I want to register a company, but because of our, okay, so we already answered this. All right, perfect. So I think on that note, we can end the session. Thank you so much, Khalida and Maheen. Is there any last message you would like to share for our startups?
We would like to say that startups are the priority of SCCP reform agenda, and we would encourage them to participate in our regulatory sandbox program and share their recommendations if they have any, and through our through ASMA or through your forum. So we will be happy to assist them as far as possible under the law, or we would be happy to do more for startups so that we can create enabling environment for our youth so that they can become financially independent and they can contribute to the growth of the economy and also our growth as a nation. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful words of inspiration. So everyone, the audience, from me, Numair Shahzada, Head of Marketing NIC, Ms. Khalida Parveen, Additional Director, SCCP, Maheen Najmi, Assistant Director, SCCP. That's it for today. Stay tuned, keep watching our page, and we look forward to you participating in the following sessions as well. Information soon.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.